Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
You're listening to Bloomberg Businessweek with Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec on Bloomberg Radio.
I want to talk about American manufacturing because back ahead of the financial crisis, the sector's workforce was about 1 million people stronger.
Got it.
It's never recovered
Nope.
since then. But as Dan Wang, a research fellow at Stanford University's Hoover History Lab, and Ben Reinhardt, the CEO of the nonprofit industrial research lab Speculative Technologies, write, in the June issue of Bloomberg Businessweek magazine, American industry has certainly seen better days. They argue, though, that tariffs are not the solution to revitalizing the sector. Ben Reinhardt joins us now in the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio. Ben, you have a tariff-free menu of policies that offer a sure path to revitalizing U.S. manufacturing, you and Dan write. Before we get there, explain for everybody what an industrial research lab is.
Well, so I like to describe it as we're a research lab in the sense that we are working on trying to create new technologies. We're not working on products, but at the same time, we're trying to do research that is not just trying to discover the secrets of the universe, but really build useful technologies. So that's sort of the line I like to think that we're walking, where it's like we're doing stuff that doesn't make sense yet as a company. I wouldn't go to an investor and say you can make a bunch of money, but we are nevertheless like trying to do things that eventually will become useful. So think Bell Labs, Xerox PARC, that sort of work.
Very cool. So sort of a Skunk Works type of thing.
Exactly.
Pre-product. Okay. You and Dan have been thinking a lot about tariffs and the way that the president has been trying to revitalize American manufacturing. His love for tariffs is no secret. We've known about it for many, many decades, but I think perhaps it caught some investors off guard back in April when he announced the reciprocal tariffs on so-called Liberation Day. You argue that there are better ways to revive manufacturing in the U.S. You say we should look at what China has done.
Yeah. So there are two things in particular that they've done so they've done many things. Some of them we don't think that we should copy, but there are two in particular that I think are particularly worth looking at. One of them is inviting in foreign investment, right? So actually, one of the ways that they built up their manufacturing is by inviting in foreign companies and getting them to build factories there, and sort of regardless of your position on stealing technology, you still build up a workforce that knows how to build those things and then can go and build that technology. So you can imagine inviting in Chinese companies even who have now technologies that we don't have, and you then build up a workforce who knows how to, say, make batteries. So that's one. Two is like industrial zones, right? So you're the most well known is Shenzhen, but there are many others where to a large extent the government took a very like hands-off approach and just said like, okay, like within this zone you can basically do whatever you want. There's a lot of nuance to that, but right now it is extremely hard to build new factories.
I do want to push back a little bit on this. My one experience in China back in 2019, before the pandemic, I went to Shanghai. I know it's a completely different place now, but one thing that struck me was when the plane landed, I looked out the window and it was what I thought was the thickest fog. It turned out it was pollution. My throat was sore the entire time I was there. We couldn't see out of our hotel room windows because we were on like the 15th floor and the air was too clogged with pollution as a result of some of the industrialization that we're talking about here. Do we really want that in the U.S.?
I don't think it's an either or sort of thing. A lot of modern manufacturing technologies no longer produce that sort of waste, and a lot of the manufacturing that we're talking about doesn't do that. And there are many technologies for cleaning that up. So you were seeing sort of the result of manufacturing technologies from like the 50s and 60s. And so we're saying like, okay, we're going to build technologies of the 21st century, which have many fewer side effects.
Ben, I got to say what's really cool is our Steve Mann of our Bloomberg Intelligence team and covers the auto sector. And one of the things he has said recently to us, because as we think about tariffs and bringing manufacturing back home, he said one thing that China learned, I mean, by doing all that manufacturing, they actually developed some very sophisticated technology that is now helping them to kind of operate on a higher plane, and whether it's develop car, like whatever have you. And I never thought about that. I guess I thought about bringing manufacturing back home. Do we really want to be making T-shirts and sneakers? But that's not what it's about. It's about they've become very sophisticated with technology because of the automation and all of the manufacturing they've been doing.
Oh, yeah. Couldn't agree more. Manufacturing and new technology and research really go hand in hand. You can't have one without another. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I'm such a big proponent of manufacturing.
But I don't think we always put that together.
Yeah. It's like the best technologies, the best research comes from noticing a problem in an actual manufacturing line, right? Like going back to us being an industrial research lab, the point is to notice, there's this actual real problem in the world and we need to do research to fix it.
I think it's pretty wild. So is President Trump right in terms of encouraging companies outside the United States, even American companies, to start investing more here?
Along that axis, yes. I think I will not unequivocally agree with everything.
But in encouraging foreign, and as many have said to us, there are commitments, and then you'll see whether or not those commitments, which are often multi-year commitments, and also you can't just build a factory overnight, right, or a facility, but we'll see over time whether or not this actually happens.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it would ideally be done with carrots and not sticks. But yes, I think that
the message, right, but maybe not the mode.
Yeah, exactly.
Is at least your view. Yeah.
Okay, so that's one way to be thinking about this. Study China. I want to talk a little bit about some other solutions that you have. Preserving the strengths that America already has. Talk a little bit about what you mean by that.
Yeah. So, America has a lot of strengths that I feel like literally today we are sort of throwing away, right? Mm-hmm. Like we have this amazing ability to attract talent from all over the world. And
if the universities let them in.
Yeah, exactly. And the universities and immigration, right? Like, so historically,
in all seriousness, I'm not bringing that up facetiously. I'm saying that is at risk right now, given the different rules that we've seen.
Oh yeah, exactly. And so our point is don't stop. That is really, and that is a unique strength of ours, right? Like China doesn't attract global talent in the same way that we do. And again, in our university and research system, also, you've seen the cuts to NSF and NIH and NASA, and the list goes on. And, our research ecosystem is the envy of the world, and we should, keep that the case.
What do you say to folks who say, listen, okay, you've got something like an Ivy League that has an incredibly large endowment. So why does the U.S. government need to give them money to do R&D? So what's the argument to that? Why, or if you're going to give it to maybe another organization that needs it more. Like, what's the argument for continuing for federal money to go to some of these massive, well-known institutions, academic institutions?
Yeah. So there's a lot of nuance that we can't get into here. I think that they're rethinking where the money, where government R&D money goes. Yeah. Definitely another conversation for another time. But just as things stand now, the money should go to the best researchers. The best research is going to come from the best research. Research is very much a power law distributed thing. Mm-hmm. And for better or for worse, the best researchers are at places like Harvard. And so that would be my argument for it.
Ben, what do you see the risks to U.S. manufacturing or to the U.S. economy if the United States continues with this tariff program?
I mean, I see just U.S. manufacturing, it's not going to necessarily make manufacturing better, right? I don't think it's actually going to achieve the aims. You see, because so many of the parts that manufacturers depend on are coming from overseas and are being heavily tariffed. And so you're already seeing manufacturers of CNC machines mm-hmm. getting completely hosed by the tariffs. And so I just see manufacturing as an industry being directly hurt by it, let alone not helped.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, who knows where this goes, right? Ultimately. But I think understanding the impact that immigrants or immigration and bringing folks in from other countries, whether it's in high skilled or low skilled jobs, has an economic impact, right? And it pays off in many different ways, or tends to.
Absolutely. I mean, you just like, I interact with a lot of researchers. You look at who is getting STEM PhDs, who's doing research in like hard science and technology, and it's the vast majority of people are not from the US.
How do you think about all of this with something that is going to be obviously a big deal? And I'm thinking about artificial intelligence. And I think about DeepSeek. And when that news came out, we all were like, oh, China they're moving ahead.
Yeah. I think the argument is across all of it, right? Like you want, like ideally, it would be great for some of the people who developed DeepSeek to want to come to the U.S. and do work here.
Right.
And again, you look at who is actually working at these AI companies, and there's people from all across the world. Like I have friends there, and like people who came up with a lot of the algorithms that the U.S. AI companies are using are not American. And so again, this is just like example after example of our strength is our ability to pull in these talented people.
30 seconds. Are you optimistic or pessimistic that some of this stuff will be adopted?
I am pessimistic, but I am optimistic that can change.
But if we don't get this right, big deal.
Big deal.
Meaning the U.S. economy, meaning U.S. role in the world, or what?
Yeah, I think all of the above. I think that you could really see us, like honestly, on some kind of decline, some kind of like becoming like Ming China or Japan after they close themselves off.
We're gonna leave it on that though. I'm sure we'll come back to you.
Definitely.
Certainly something to get us all thinking. Ben Reinhardt, he's Bloomberg Businessweek contributing writer and CEO of Speculative Technologies.